You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. We're live here at paceradio.net. Good evening, Tamara. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Al, how are you?
Well, I'm a little frustrated right now, but we live in Canada, so I shouldn't be surprised that I'm getting snow right now.
Right?
After, our grass is growing, it's green, everything. And now it's snowing. We're expected like 8 centimeters of snow. So I don't know. It's pretty heavy. So we'll see. I'm on satellite internet here, so we'll see what happens.
Right? Just kind of letting everybody know that if we do go down or we get all choppy, it's Al's fault.
It's Al's fault. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't. You can't hardwire when you're on satellite, right? And we're out in the boonies.
Yeah. And that's great for you. Like I really miss living in the boonies. And we had when I lived out in the boonies, like we had this little TELUS box that was like a hub that would sit beside, and it was kind of wireless. But it only was able to have so much data, and it would cost like $500 and $600 a month. And it was in my mom's name, and she'd phone me and go, "The bill for the internet's like $600." I'm like, "What?" And so, I really couldn't use the computer much when we lived out in the middle of nowhere either. It was ridiculous. And that
it was. Yeah, I've been hardwired all these years, and a couple of years ago we moved out here to the country, and it's nice out here in the country. I'm not complaining, believe me. It's just that the services are slim, or options are slim to next to none. Because of located, but who knows? Maybe in 10 years, by then there'll be a couple other providers out here, and we'll be able to get connected.
Well, they say that they're committed to do that. That was one promise made by the government, that they were going to have internet throughout the whole country.
Right.
The lack of ability. I know TELUS has been working pretty hard. That's one thing that they are trying to get optic across the country. So that's good. I mean, if it takes, regulation or whatever little push, let it be.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I met this girl actually at my work the other day. Her name is Carmela. And
she's really?
A show called Cured with Carmela. And she is from this area. So I wanted to put shout out to her and her boyfriend Al, if they're watching, and let you know that she's got her own little gig going on, and we're going to hook up together and see if we can't do some collaborating of some sort, and see what she's all about. And they also have a doctor friend too. I haven't met him per se, so I'm not going to say too much because I haven't met him, so I have no idea anything about them. But I've got their business cards. So this is something, when you're out and about and you're working and people come randomly into your store and say, "Hey, here's our card."
Well, hey, it's good that they've reached out. You got the card, and you can go from there.
Right.
So tonight, hopefully, if all goes well, we're going to discuss more of the legislative review of the Cannabis Act that was released by the panel that everybody had waited for, and was like 18 months past due or something before they got into it. But before we get to that, you had Cheryl Rose and Haley on your broadcast on Monday on Cannabis and Coffee with Tamara. And I know that she had some very special stuff to discuss with you. How'd that go?
Well, it was amazing. And if you saw Haley, you would be absolutely floored because she is more articulate and like more verbal than I've ever seen her before. She's gained some weight. She
Wow.
looks great. She's still having problems with her jaw, and that's because of long-term medication. She's still taking some pharma, of course. That's something that has. But
Yeah.
they've been using raw juice for 1 year, and she's only been taking a quarter of the prescription, and the improvement is incredible. Now they've
Wow.
also introduced micro greens, like a bean sprout,
Oh.
like it's a microgreen,
Oh, really?
and to her diet, which gives her the fiber, right, that she needs as well. Because the juice, you know what happens, you don't get any
So
filling, right?
they're turning
So
the microgreens into juice?
no, no, no.
Oh, okay. She's eating those separately, and
Right,
they're also having the juice.
right.
Okay.
And the juicing, you have to take the portion of juice and put it to apple juice or something.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah, yeah,
tasting. It's
yeah.
not. So she's been drinking the juice for only a quarter of her prescription because that's like all they can do right now. But she's got some good news, kind of in the background going, and she's found some people that are willing to collaborate and work with her. So this could be, going towards a new direction. She's also got some a Dr. Hornsby stuff. There's the other doctor that she's been working with, Dr. Corbin, I
Mhm.
think his name is. He's got some YouTube videos and stuff out about Haley's progress as well.
Oh,
Um, it's just to see her, but it's also the keto diet, right, that she's been on.
yeah,
The dietitians
yeah.
and everybody else that has chimed in on this. But this way of growing them, but again, it's 10,000 sprouts a month for the prescription that she requires, right? Not everybody's
Yeah,
prescription
yeah.
would be that way, or it would
Well,
make at the end of the day, we don't want it to be a prescription, right?
yeah, and some people might not realize what like microgreen cannabis. Some people have heard of microgreens, might not realize what they are, but basically, the microgreens is the cannabis seed, just like any other of those seeds, are put into dirt where there's moisture and it starts to grow. Now, and it only
10
grows
days
for a short
before,
period of time, right?
right? And you don't want to eat them you want to eat them on day 10 or 14 because that's when they give you the best acidity. See, that's the thing that there's acidity in cannabis, right? And
Mhm.
that's what they're looking for to help balance out her diet. So it can't be heated, it has to be raw because once it's heated, it's no longer acid anymore, right? There's no
Right, yeah, because it decarboxylates itself. Yeah, 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 yeah,
that's
yeah.
what it is. It's the acidity in the cannabis and the THCA that is making the difference, right? So this is
Right,
part more often in raw, right? So you can
right.
juice your cannabis however way you're juicing your cannabis. You can go about that way too. But this is a new thing that they're looking at getting together and working with some collaborations with some others and getting out the microgreens, which will, like I said, be something.
Microgreen.
Yeah, micro.
It just never ends. It just
Right.
never ends.
Exactly. The
All
plant
these,
is just giving back,
yeah,
giving back, right? And that's the
right,
thing. Like it's a plant. So why would we think that we couldn't eat it in all stages? Because now we can
yeah.
in all forms. So why like that's the thing. Like I said to her too. Like if we can already consume it with the Smith ruling in all forms, wouldn't
Hmm.
that kind of almost cover the seed portion of it, the microgreen portion of it too? That's not. It's not that. It's the fact that the licensing for that many the plant has to be reclassified because a plant in flower is different than a plant that's never going to flower. That plant's
Right.
never going to get to stage to veg to
No,
nothing. It's just never going to be that. So there's
like
a
you
different.
said, it's only going to be like 10 days old. It's not even going to be much
Not even
more
gonna
than a
have,
seedling.
yeah, it's not even gonna have 6 leaves. I think it's 10 days after you get the first 2 leaves on it or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
sure of the exact science on it, right? But
Right.
that being said, it's such a huge step forward. And like I said, they've had people along the way watching, documenting as well that are doctors. So it's all, I think.
Yeah, this is like I've just started. Actually, I just started my second microgreen garden, and I'm probably getting pretty close to harvest of one section of it because I got two different things growing in it, and so I'm new to this. So for her to come out with this, and I'm thinking like, holy fuck, this is quite the thing. These little wee plants.
How do you
It's
find
so
it?
small, it's so beneficial
Right? I
to
have a hard
people.
time. absorbing any greens with my colitis, so I don't eat a lot of green vegetables. It's not so that's why. So how is that affecting your Crohn's? Does it not seem to be bothering you?
What I found with the batch that I grew, one of the batches I grew, it was a salad. They called it a salad because it had different stuff in it.
Right.
It had some greens that I would never eat normally, that were in it. And there's like 5 different things that were seeds that were in it. And I would take them and put them on as like a topping on my rice, in order to add flavor. And one of the ingredients was radishes, and like they all look the same. The only difference with the radish, really, to me, that anything else was in there, was because it had a red stem on it, and radishes are red, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I knew that if I had a lot of red in there, that I was going to really taste it, right, and know that it was there. So I think this cannabis micro seeds, and it's seeds, can. So if you need like 10,000, like you said, that's a lot of money when you look at what the price of seeds are. So hopefully she'll be able to get connected somewhere with someone that can assist her in this, and that could lead to a whole new avenue of everything.
Well, it's really difficult to get a nursery licensing.
Yeah.
For cannabis, like if you want nursery licensing, you have to give up all your licensed production. Like if you were a licensed producer, you cannot do both. So you have to make a choice whether you're going to grow clones and never grow a full fledged plant out again, except for their mothers that you keep cloning to make your
Well, you can get a
And you can't have a distributing license. You can't be a grower. You have to pick. It's just nursery. It's just nursery. Now that nursery, they can go into R&D for seeds, which would be the same. But it's like you only do nursery. Like seeds would be classified, I guess, as nursery. So yeah.
I had an interview with a fellow who was one of the first 3 or 4 nurseries here in Ontario, and I'm gonna ask him to be a guest on our broadcast, because I think when it comes to patients or just people in general, it'd be nice where if they could go into a business where they could pre-order the clones to be shipped to them. And what this fella has done is he has seeds for sale, but because of the issue of not having the clones in the stores, because there's the licensing, all that other stuff that we have to be done. Never mind the fact that a store would have to set up a grow location inside the store so they could deal with all this. But what he has done is he has set up a pop-up market for clones. He goes to places, to stores, in order to arrange all this stuff, and people come and purchase the clones from him, and they put it through the store.
Yeah, I could see, like I said, be nursery. Like I said, who's going to allow that much licensing? You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah. He had to give up his ACMPR, because he was a patient. He had to give that up in order to start and create this nursery. He's only like 3 people, him and his wife and one other person maybe that are the business. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know.
He's a nice guy. He's a really nice guy. Well, I'll get him on the show and we'll be able to talk to him, because
there's a local guy too that was attempting to get nursery licensing, and I don't know whether he ever got it or not. He's kind of difficult kind of person, but yeah.
Yeah, what do you say? We get back to where we were on this review here from last week. We got talking. I got it on the screen there already. But we were going through the recommendations, and there's different chapters. And this is chapter 7, which was on the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. And all the way through, there's been recommendations. There's been observations on different things. There are some chapters as time gets going here. I'll probably just jump directly to some chapters.
Like I said, there's a lot of paper there, and I actually have not had time to even look past that. So
you can look over here where you can see where people were watching. They can see the cursor. That's where the tab is, and
and
this is like another month worth of shows to go here. So. So yeah, this is Chapter 7, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. It says Recommendation 16 is the Government of Canada, including the Indigenous Services Canada, should continue to enhance and expand distinctions-based health, public health, mental health, wellness supports that are culturally appropriate, trauma-informed, and in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis communities. Let's see, 18. Let's see, Health Canada could commit to developing cultural appropriate evidence-based cannabis materials, evidence-based materials and programs to disseminate cannabis-related health information with the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. See, they say the government of Canada should take steps to amend the definition of intoxicant in the Indian Act to enable First Nations Bank Council to enact bylaws regarding cannabis. So is that telling you there that there isn't any presently right there?
I'm not really sure because I believe like within some of the within the Indian Act, right? That was one thing. That's what they have dry reserves, right? They're not supposed to be intoxicated within the boundaries of any reserve, right?
Oh, okay, all right.
Part of the Indian Act, right? So because cannabis is an intoxication, that's some portion of the Indian Act that would have to be amended for them to have full reign over their own sovereignty because of that clause in the Indian Act. That's what I think why the BC government is getting away with writing that the whole province of British Columbia, because it's still considered a federal law, as well as can wrap the First Nations into their BC amendments. They can't open anywhere on their land.
That act needs a new name, Indigenous Peoples Act or something. And some people say it needs to be changed completely, but I don't know anything about that. So
it's thrown in the garbage and start fresh. Quite honestly.
Yeah. They say that the government of Canada and the Indigenous peoples community should work together to establish legislative mechanisms for the enforcement of banned bylaws and other laws related to cannabis.
So again, they're forcing their colonization onto the Why should they have to have bylaws? That should be up to them.
Yeah, more funding and stuff for policing that they want involved there. Say Health Canada should better advertise and evaluate existing supports for Indigenous license applicants. So it sounds like make it so it's to get them
attainable, right,
into their system. Yeah.
Well, can you imagine? Like we know the basic cost. It's outrageous to get into it. How many First Nations live in poverty and would never have the opportunity to even come close to being able to come into something like that?
Oh, here we go. Recommendation 24. We agree with the Standing Senate Committee on Indigenous Peoples that Finance Canada should work with First Nations to identify options for the development of an excise tax sharing framework as part of its discussions on fuel, alcohol, cannabis, and tobacco taxes. What do you think of that?
What? So what they're wanting?
Yes, that goes beyond the cannabis end. They're talking alcohol. They're talking fuel taxes, everything. I look at that as setting up tax regime.
No, because the First Nations haven't paid tax.
Yeah, and setting up a tax regime within their communities.
If their communities got the money and it didn't go anywhere near the Canadian government, it went back into the. But then you have to be, hopeful that the band is actually going to do the proper things with it. So I agree that maybe they should come in with their own, if that's what they need to do to fund their own stuff. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, excise tax sharing. So it would be a share. It might be 25, 75, like sort of like what the provinces are right now.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's fair. I don't think they should be sharing.
Oh, yeah, it'd be Okay, let's see. Chapter 8. Adult access. They say here in recommendation 37. Health Canada should maintain the current limit of 10 milligrams of THC
Yeah, we used to
per
be out.
package.
We were hopeful. Like I thought I heard somewhere, down the wire that they were going to actually adjust that, and then we get these records, and then we get this again.
Yeah, and I had heard up to about 100 milligrams per package. Now this is a recommendation, right? It isn't anything that seemed concrete, but yeah, it's disappointing.
Yeah, no, it is. It's kind of completely.
Yeah. And they say they want to continue to develop the research in this area to determine whether there are conditions under which the limit could be raised without unduly impacting public health. So they're concerned about the raised limits, what impact that would have on the public health.
So that would entail putting some money into some research.
Yeah. And recommendation 38 for the adult access was Health Canada should provide Canadians who choose to grow cannabis at home and with information on the potential risks associated with home cultivation, as well as practical advice on how to grow and store cannabis safely. People do need to know how to grow. And how to do it safely. I just because of the problems in the past on.
Well, here's the thing with growing. Your house doesn't blow up by growing a plant. It's after you process the plant with the Everclear when you get the shit that blows your house up, right? Yeah. And so it's processing their medicine after the fact. But again, yeah, you could burn your house down if you got lights that are going to be falling or meeting up against something or they're sparking.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like, it's a plant. You could grow it in your fucking window.
You can, and you can bloom it in your window. I've seen that many times.
So what? Like, that's what I don't understand. Like, they make it sound like it's some toxic, thing that's just feeding off.
Well, sometimes they base that information on the worst situations. What they always at one time based it on the big grow operations with holes in the wall and mold all over the place.
Cash croppers that were just like, but again, I don't remember any of my friends that grew big grows like that ever doing that.
No.
I mean, they had illegal grows. They had hundreds of plants, and none of them were growing in somebody else's house, putting holes in walls and doing. No. So I don't know where they get these. I don't know where they get these films and.
Yeah, either way, it's. Well, I look at it because they base it on the worst of the worst, and as we saw in the Allard case, that was the judge said that he even doubted the testimony of the expert that testified on that.
Right? Like, where's the pictures? Where's your evidence? When you have pictures of these said grow houses with all this.
Yeah, I'm sure they do, but I'm sure they're also associated to, maybe organized crime, big, large grows where the people don't give a shit about the house.
Yeah.
It's just a building for them, right?
Yeah.
It's not as if they're a patient that has to still live in the residence.
No.
Yeah. But, there are people who need to know certain things.
They want to vilify. They just want to vilify anything attached to it.
Okay, chapter 11, medical access. Here we go. Recommendation 41. In order to provide access and continued support to patients who rely on the medical access program, Health Canada should maintain the program under the cannabis regulations with the improvements set out in this report. So it's great to see that they are recommending that the program stay in place, because a lot of people have been saying, what do you do with the parent who's dealing with the kid that has epilepsy and seizures, and you want them to use, gets the doctor's recommendation for medical cannabis. You're not going to send that adult into the store to get that your child's medicine from a rec store, and then possibly face jail time in order to give the child the medication.
Yeah.
So
Right.
this doesn't make sense. Correct. So I'm glad to see that was recommended. Because question 5.2 of the review was that question. Can the stores, brick and mortar locations, basically replace the medical program?
Right.
I'm paraphrasing there, but yeah.
Or if it was still necessary. Basically, it was still required.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. So, okay. The next one, recommended 42, to improve patient access to cannabis for medical purposes. Health Canada should permit pharmacies to distribute cannabis products to individuals holding a medical authorization from a healthcare professional. Provinces and territories and the regulatory authorities for pharmacists should consider supporting the new access channel for patients once federal changes are made. There are people who I know I've talked to that are in fully support of this. I'm in support of somebody having a medical access counter, whether in a recreational store or have medical access available at a pharmacist. And as far as the recreational stores, why not team up with some people, for example, the people at the VCPC, who have been educating people about cannabis since 1995.
Right. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the whole pharmacy clinical, but I guess when you put an RX label on it, that's what you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
And I said that from the get go too. Like I've been saying that for I think probably 20 years too. Is I never really wanted my medical license. I just wanted to feel better, right? It was a matter of
yeah.
As soon as you put the RX label on it, you're going to end up at a pharmacy with it, right? Do we want them to have that control? But I guess, it's regulated then. It's safe. But it's going to be no different than what you can access at the recreational stores.
Correct. It's the same strength product, all that. But I could see some people out there who would feel more comfortable talking to a pharmacist about their medication.
If the pharmacist is educated on town,
Correct. Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, some of those recreational bud tenders are more educated, and even though they're not allowed,
yeah. There's no doubt. Yeah. I agree with you. It's another access point for patients, which is something we've all been fighting for.
Oh, that's what we want.
And I know, back when the medical program started, the pharmacists didn't want to have anything to do with it.
Nope. We had, when I went to the roundtables in Vancouver, there was people from the Veterinary Association there and the pharmacy of the Coastal or Pharmacy Association. So they were interested back during the beginning of recreation, when that was first kind of policies being rolled out. But then they backed off.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Veterinarian Association.
Yeah. No, it's the program. I'm glad first off the keep the program in place. The pharmacist is an added access point. I'm sure. Yeah, I agree. There's concerns, and hopefully those concerns can be dealt with and in a good way. But because it's all about the access and for the patients, right? So
maybe if it was in a pharmacy, it would take the taxes off.
Yeah. Well, see, and with it being in a pharmacy, people would say, "Well, we require a DIN number." Would that get to that point of what you always say? Health Canada does not recognize cannabis as a medicine,
right?
Would that get to the point where it is recognized?
It would have to be recognized at that point.
Right.
And then when I go get my other pharmaceuticals from the pharmacy, they bill my insurance company, and I only pay a certain portion. So would that be the same then once cannabis was done in a pharmacy? Then your insurance company automatically have to cover that, or maybe not.
And that could come down to the plan that the company has purchased as well. But yeah, it could work in exactly the same way. Which yet again, improves access for patients.
Well, absolutely. And it also improves affordability. And
Yeah.
that's another thing that we've always said too, is that we needed affordability, because there are people living on disability that can surely afford $2 for their medication rather than $200.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, I just picked up some pills the other day that it said it was $659. I paid $22.
Right? Me too. I feel you. My 5 ounce is $300. I pay $34.
Yeah, you know, I have a sort of a hybrid medical coverage thing going on here, but it's it's just no way. Like, you know, the other drug that I'm on, the intravenous drug that I have to take, which is being changed, you know, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
I'm
been
not sure.
so.
I'm not sure.
I see it's about in the hour. So I have taken the review off the screen, but we're going to bring it back after the break. We're going to get into this more of this recommendations of the medical end of things, and as I've already stated, the medical access is number one. It's important to many people. So we'll be back shortly, and we'll continue our discussion. This is the Pace Radio Show. We're live here at paceradio.net.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
We're back. We're live. And we're ready to go. Before we get back in the review, I've got a question to ask you. And as you saw, as we went into the commercial break, I played the little promo there on the Toronto Global Marijuana March. Because you're a former organizer of a march and attended some over the years.
Yeah.
Why did you march? Why did you march in the Global Marijuana March? What was the reason why?
I wanted law reform. I didn't believe that a plant should be prohibited, be illegal. It was a plant. People were going to jail for small amounts of cannabis, and patients, people that were using it for medical purposes, were going to jail for the use. Grant Krieger was thrown in jail in Calgary for the use of his cannabis, and I just saw the injustice in all of it, and it was just ridiculous that people that were finding relief using this plant should be being persecuted for it. So I organized, because it was worldwide, and I saw an article where Dana Beale, I was reading High Times, and Dana Beale there was an article about Dana Beale in the High Times, and it said, if you want to join in, contact this. And I sent him an email. Next thing you know, I got this big package in the mail with all these Global Marijuana March posters, and I just started posting them all over the place. And me and Alvin showed up on the front steps of City Hall with a table and a bunch of posters and waited for people to come.
There you go. Perfect. So if I said to you, or said to you, to fill in the blank, I march for, that answer that you just gave would be massive, and every reason was perfect. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like there's so many reasons, and so many people can't march that you have to go march for.
Yeah, exactly.
There's people that worked back then that were closet users, right? That couldn't stand up, couldn't speak out because they'd lose their job. So that was another reason too. I had friends that were in, healthcare and stuff, and they all smoked because they had arthritis and they've been, working on their feet didn't drink, and they would have lost their jobs. I would have lost my job. In fact, I did. I quit my job at H&R Transport because I was drug tested and got caught smoking.
Well, I thank you for your answer on that, and I am sending out a request to our viewers tonight, and anybody who watches this as a podcast afterwards, to create themselves a little video saying, I march for, and explain what you march for when it comes to the global cannabis end of things, and post it. Maybe tag the Toronto Global Marijuana March, or post it on their wall, or post it on any other Global Marijuana March location, and share with your friends, so that we get people interested back into the marches in order to create change. And the same reason why you started.
Right. And somewhere was it Germany, I believe?
Germany.
This too, but not in the same, but again, everybody's moving in that direction. But then you have the Philippines, and then you have Thailand, and you have all these other countries Iraq and
Yeah. Okay. Well, we better get back onto the review thing here, because there's lots of reasons why to march. So
absolutely,
All right. For everybody, just to remind everybody, the final report on the review of the Cannabis Act was submitted, was put out about a week or 2 weeks ago. And last week we covered a bunch of it, and this week we're covering some more. And right now we're in the medical access part of things. And that was recommendation number 43 is our next one. Health Canada should encourage additional research on the therapeutic use of cannabis in Canada. Let me repeat that. Health Canada should encourage additional research on the therapeutic use of cannabis in Canada without compromising the frameworks established for the review and authorized of clinical trials and health products. Health Canada should support a transparent process to identify the specific potential therapeutic applications of cannabis that would benefit.
Cannabis is a medicine.
Yeah.
we might get somewhere, right?
That's right. Exactly. Healthcare should establish and maintain a knowledge hub. Hey, that provides up-to-date evidence and information on the use of cannabis for medical purposes for health professionals and the public. And you know what? I have said that many times myself. Why didn't they
That's
allow?
exactly what Michelle's goal was. Al. At the end of the day, when we were putting all those damn medical packages out to every physician that she sent out, was exactly that. It was all evidence. So at the end of the day, this was Michelle's goal.
For those who don't know Michelle, this is Michelle right here, Michelle Rainey.
Like, ooh, ooh.
She's no longer with us, but her work is always remembered by those who know her. Right. So,
Right.
Yeah. I've always said that I agree. There could have been a choice there or an option to allow patients to input information on what their evidence is and what their proof is, that it's been how the benefit has been to them. So they have collected some data, because like I realize some people were against that, and because it's privacy issues, but like I said, optional. Allow those who wanted to submit, some information. Why not prevent them? Why prevent them? Allow them to do it.
At the end of the day, it's your personal choice whether you share your information or not. Privacy
Yeah.
act or not. And if you waive your right to that act, then you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Allow a doctor to submit authentic information on behalf of the patient to back up that person's claim.
We can't get legitimate research being done. We can't get any integrity or any transparency unless we have medical professionals behind us, because they believe in science. So if we don't have scientists who are doctors that do research helping us along the way, I mean, I know people, I didn't want to see a doctor. I didn't want doctors. You know what? The science. And that's it. That's it. We have to show them the science. We've shown them the money. We showed them the money, and look what they did with that.
Yeah.
Now we need to show them the damn science.
I look at recommendation 45 as a call out in a way to educate the educated, because it says here, Health Canada, in partnership with provinces, territories, patients, and healthcare professionals, should support the development and dissemination of national clinical guidance documents related to cannabis for medical purposes to increase the knowledge and understanding of healthcare professionals, which is always good to educate those doctors, as we've been saying. They need more.
We have a whole new generation of doctors coming up too. That's the thing. They're all younger. They're all open-minded. We have that's why we're in a doctor shortage, because all the old doctors are all retiring or dying, and we have a whole new generation of new kids with open minds that are more open to natural medicine too, right?
Yeah. Now they say these documents should cover issues such as indications for which there is a sufficient evidence base of effectiveness, how to monitor patients, and how to track and report adverse reactions. Yeah,
well, they can test our blood, and they can check THC level in your pee when they do a drug test for your THC levels. So they use that for employment drug testing. Why can't they use part of that? And then look at coherency. You've got this much.
I'm on biological drugs and have been for the last 15 years, and they're always probably 4 times a year, 3 times a year in that area. Taking my blood, taking a sample in order to make sure that everything is kosher.
And because of my attention deficit medication, I actually literally have to take a drug test every 6 months.
There you go. Yeah, but I know some of my medications that's what they've said. You got to have it tested. So, okay, let's see what else. Okay, Health Canada should prioritize efforts to move beyond a distinct medical access program so that cannabis is considered within standard drug approval pathways and part of the conventional medical care. This should start with the rapid advancement of a pathway of cannabis health products containing CBD, The department should also establish a science advisory committee to review the evidence related to THC. I like the idea of the cannabis health products. I call them CHPs, being available at any store that sells products that can sell lotions and hand creams.
Right? Especially
Yeah.
CBD.
Yeah.
CBNs and the root compounds and all the stuff that doesn't have any THC in it, including THCA. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
Correct.
there's so many
Correct.
more. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
I'm all, for that to allow,
This whole section here, I actually did read before, had me quite hopeful.
yeah,
Quite
good.
hopeful that the government does. But again, the government, these are recommendations,
Yeah.
right? Like
Now,
we have to now start forcing them to do this.
I like them to see them to expand on the last sentence where they say the department should also establish a science advisory committee to review the evidence related to THC.
Yeah.
That should be expanded to include other cannabinoids.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
because THC is the big bad one, they're going to look for harms, right?
Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. Yeah.
But remember,
Recommendation 47 to support patient care, Health Canada should amend the regulatory requirements related to the medical document to allow healthcare professionals to include specific information about product format and dose of the cannabis for the patient, similar to the prescription of other substances. So that's requiring them to come up with a dosing system for people.
Yeah.
It's like right now when they determine a dose for the patient, they can go to a guiding chart that deals with the weight of the person.
Oh, God.
Right? Maybe it was something like that. I don't know. There's one thing I wanted to just go back on before I forget. On recommendation 46, it's mentioned to prioritize efforts to move beyond a distinct medical access program. Hopefully it doesn't include the removal of patients growing, but I know in court cases it has, basically cemented that. But still, still the concern. You always got to keep your eye on things, right?
Well, I think that should be a concern because that court order is sitting in an injunction.
Right.
And at any time it could be appealed, right? The the government just didn't appeal it.
Sounds like the puppies are going good.
Yeah. I don't know if somebody's moving around in the house. I've got my cooker going, but here I'm going to just turn them off for a second and yell because that's probably the only thing that's going to get them to stop hanging.
All right, you go ahead. I'll read the next one. And number 48, recommendation 48. To address public safety concerns, Health Canada should limit the number of registrations for personal or designated production cannabis for medical purposes at a single site. What they're saying is currently they're allowed 4 at a location, and they're recommending that gets reduced to 1.
Yeah, we fought to get the 4.
What's that?
We fought to get the 4. We wanted it increased.
Correct.
They did increase it. Now they're telling us to decrease it. What?
Yeah. Now that tells me that they're not recommending to take away the growing end of things for patients, but yeah, there's lots of patients who can't grow for themselves. It could be because they're physically not capable of doing it, to the fact of where they live, where they reside. Yeah. Condominiums or apartment buildings, a rental unit.
No power. Don't have 10 grand to fix that mess.
Yeah, have to upgrade your whole electrical system because there's still people on 100 amp systems, right?
I'm on
in the house.
60 amp. Serious?
Oh, you're still on 60. Holy smokes. I was going to say that, but I thought, no, people aren't that on that. I've got numbers like that anymore.
Damn straight. Yeah, we sure are. It's not the knob and tube by any stretch, but we don't have that much. And I'm still paying exuberant electricity bills. So, but yeah, no, I don't have enough power. I could have one light running and then nothing else in the house.
Wow. Yeah, because in in our first house, I had up it. We were a 60 amp service, and I upped it to a 200 when I went to do my garden. It's just because there wasn't enough power there, right? And it wasn't that I had a big garden or anything. Believe me, I didn't. But it
We
was
had,
just I just needed. There was no more spots to put
yeah,
anything.
yeah. We had to do the same thing at the farm. We had to actually have
Yeah,
Trans-Canada. This is like Alberta back then,
yeah.
and they
And
came up and changed the box on the whatever on the pole outside, and we ran wire to the house because that house is even was that old too, right?
yeah, yeah, and we were able to update other spots in the house where we could add different circuits and stuff. So
Right.
okay, let's see. From there,
Yeah, like I said, they want to take they want to they throw you a bit of a bone, and then
yeah,
they say, okay, well, we're going to take away the ability to have more than one designated patient at one designated grower. But again, that could be the fact that designated growers aren't as abundant anymore either,
yeah.
and there isn't a requirement to have that many patients.
Now, the next one, 49. Health Canada should build on its recent efforts to seek additional clinical justifications from healthcare professionals authorizing high daily doses and consider whether and how additional scrutiny could be applied. Health Canada should use its regulatory authorities to refuse and revoke applications that are deemed to pose a risk to public health and or public safety. They've done that. They've done that. Now, probably not to the happiness of municipal people and law enforcement, but they have done that. I remember when they were calling doctors anything over 10 grams.
Yeah, and I think
Patients
now
are telling me that all the time.
if you ask for 20 grams, now they're and doctors
Mhm.
are warded off. Like I said, they're told they can't, no matter what.
Yeah,
And now 5 grams.
maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's reduced now. Maybe they don't call us out. But I know at one time that they were calling doctors.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, and questioning all that, right? So, and number 50, Health or Finance Canada should review whether the excise tax should be applied to cannabis for medical purposes products. What do you think of that one, Tamara? Yeah, they should review it. They shouldn't even. It should just be gone.
Just be gone. Like that's
Yeah.
something we don't pay taxes on any pharmaceuticals. But again, this all in here entails that Health Canada recognizes marijuana as medicine.
As a medicine. That's right. And
And
as
in
we
order
know,
to do all that, then the tax could be totally gone. And it only takes Health Canada coming out with one statement and in the Gazette. Health Canada now sees the benefits in therapeutic cannabis and recognizes it as a therapeutic medicine. That's it.
mhm, yeah,
All they have to use is the word therapeutic in front of it, and it covers their butt.
yeah, yeah. Alrighty, we got 7 minutes to the break. On to the next section, Chapter 12, Research and Surveillance. What's surveillance mean? Recommendation 51. Health Canada, Public Safety Canada, Statistics Canada, and the Canadian Institute of Health Research and other partners should work with stakeholders, including those lived and living experience, and for marginalized communities to identify key research priorities. These prioritization efforts should guide ongoing investment in cannabis-related research. Oh, well, it's good to see that they're, saying that they should be dealing with we were talking about there earlier, the Health Canada has missed out on an opportunity to collect some data from some patients who are living and live the experience, basically, which is what they're saying there.
Well, they've got us all on file. So I don't think they can
Yeah,
just
yeah.
stop and ask us. They've got our number.
They got our numbers. Just give us a call.
Like you don't even have to you don't have to pick me. Just go to the files and just take one of the ones out of the filing cabinet and phone the person and talk to them. Like anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. 52. Health Canada Public Safety Canada, Statistics Canada, and other partners should support ongoing surveillance and monitoring activities for cannabis that are responsive to the variety of potential impacts of cannabis and cannabis legalization, including the monitoring the state of the cannabis market, social equity impacts, and environmental consequences of cannabis legalization. Well, they do monitor the market, but it seems that sometimes those in the market feel like they're not being listened to.
The surveillance is pretty tight at some of those licensed production sites.
Yeah.
Right, as far as them just showing up wanting numbers and
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Observations. Public health observation 1. How federal, provincial, and territory governments should allocate a portion of cannabis revenues to fund cannabis-related public health and public safety initiatives. Well, we probably many people would prefer that it went to that instead of arresting their friends.
Yeah. Or
right?
like, or I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like there's
Observation number 2 is in the public health realm of things, and they say distributors and retailers should stock cannabis products with diverse ranges of THC quantities and concentrations and take steps to encourage customers to choose lower THC products where appropriate. Well, I can tell you, I didn't experience any of that when I went into the stores, but
no, you go, what's the highest potency? Oh, that one over there is really good.
They always seem to bring it up, and as far as to bring those tires up, and I have said, the high THC isn't my priority. Flavor, it's why would I want to consume something like Buckley's, tastes shitty but works, right? So why don't we get something that tastes good and works?
It works.
Right. So
terpenes have a lot to do with what I picked too. And now that they were listing the terpenes actually on the bags, right?
Yes.
Which is something that was a change too, because when the industry first started, they didn't list any of the terpene levels. All it was THC and CBD, and that was it. And no expiry date and blah blah blah. And now at least they've got the listings of the CBD, the THC, and the terpene levels, the citron or citronella levels, all of that on the packaging. Yeah.
Okay, observation 3. This is on the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis again. Provinces and territories should allow more flexibility in their distribution and retail systems, both through incentives and for those provinces with publicly controlled retail, creating space for Indigenous-owned and operated retail stores. I would still yet again believe that is to as if they were brought in to the legal system and not operating under their own system as they're doing now. As from my understanding, from what I've seen, most of them are doing. There are some Indigenous retail stores that are operating under the Cannabis Act, right?
Whatever, it's a huge market, and whatever works for, I guess, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
There's enough room for everybody, that's for sure.
There is.
The biggest thing that was the biggest piss off is that legacy market was left out, because there is enough room for everybody.
Yeah. All right, I see it's the top of the hour. Time for us to take another break. For us to run our commercials again, and remind people about the Global Marijuana March. These are things that we got to keep standing up. As Tamara says, she started a march for cannabis law reform. What are you marching for? Let us know.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Hey, we're back. We're live again. Time to turn our sights to the camera. And for everybody, to let everybody know, we are doing a review of the Cannabis Act review. That was part of the legislation when the Cannabis Act was first introduced or brought into.
And we shared it a lot and asked people and mentioned it a lot and shared it on our Facebook pages to get the word out for people to actually go to have that website and fill out that right. It was super important for patients to fill out that survey. It really was.
It was, yeah, it is. Just on the Global Marijuana March, just so you know, Limestone City Hydroponics completely agrees with us, and they are showing that by being a supporter of the march.
Awesome. Thank you.
So
that's great.
Yeah.
I would do it out here, but I'm working again. Too, but I always have shop to you drop. And I would get 4 people out here, which is great. I mean, I have done it twice out here since I did move out here. I did hold to. Yeah. I have pictures.
All right. Cannabis law reform. Okay, I'm with the review of the review. Where are we here? Observation number 3. No, we did that one. Okay. The economic, social, and environmental impacts. Observation 4 on this was provincial and territory governments should consider permitting direct-to-consumer sales. Wow. From smaller cultivars and processors, such as farm gate or mail order within a jurisdiction. in a way that allows smaller players to generate and keep more revenue than they would by selling cannabis through the distributors.
Right.
Hey, I bet you there'd be a lot of people that would like that suggestion. What do you
Oh,
think?
absolutely. Because right now, as it is in British Columbia, they can actually sell directly to the stores. But a
Yeah.
lot of them have to sell to a processor because they're not allowed to have a processing and distributing license.
You know, and this, yeah, and this would help that nursery guy that I was talking about earlier. Like right now, he can sell his seeds to a licensed person, but you know, dealing with clones and all that other stuff, being able to deal directly with the general public for him would obviously be a lot better, would be beneficial. You know?
And they would have to start out slowly, probably like a mail order, but I don't know how you mail order clones.
Yeah, well, there are ways to.
Well, there are, because they do. We get plants in boxes.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you put the little arrows on the boxes, keep it upright. Don't toss it into the corner when you get in your truck.
Styrofoam cups with water in the rock wool, tape it together.
Yeah, there are some containers that are available that actually have an LED light inside them, and they stay on while they're being shipped. Right, so you do next day delivery or 3-day delivery. That light could keep that plant going for, you know, maybe with light for 2 or 3 days. Right. And yeah. So, and being contained, the moisture would stay in there. So,
well, considering I can get overnight service from Vancouver to here, and I live
correct.
Yeah, it can be done.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's see. The next thing says that observation 5: provincial and territory distributors should consider regularly reviewing their markups, fees, purchasing practices, the amount of shelf space they allocate to different products and different license holders, including those from equity deserving groups, to improve the prospects for the many smaller sized companies that are currently struggling. Markups and fees. Let's just talk about, I can talk to you about Ontario here, which is the largest cannabis sort of company in the country, most successful one in the country, because it's reaping in the profits by the hundreds of millions of dollars. Right. While everybody else people are struggling or going bankrupt. So what they have done, they have now twice reduced their markup. The last time brought it down from 42%. I'm not sure where it's at right now, but holy crap, no wonder they made hundreds of millions of dollars with a tax levy like that.
I don't know. Well, that would be the companies making that money.
Well, it's the tax. It's what they're charging when it. They made like $250 million.
It's a corporate. It's corporate different in Ontario because the government owns it, right?
Well, yeah, it's the OCS. It's run by the province, and the money that they were collecting hadn't even gotten to the province yet.
Yeah, but that's not considered a tax. That's considered a business, like the post office, and what they're doing is they've got investment. So it's all invested money that goes back. It's supposed to go back to the province.
When you're making $250 million a year, they're overcharging on whatever you want to call it, a tax, fee, or business expense.
And I don't know who's reaping the profit. Well, the profit would go back into the coffers of the Ontario government that they'd be investing in other.
Yeah, we did a report lately on the news show, stating that the money from the OCS hadn't been given to the province to use. The OCS had kept it.
Oh yeah, they can.
They have now finally started to release some of that money, but yeah, it's just ridiculous. So let's see what else. Criminal activity and displacement of the illicit market. What do they want to do? Observations. Law enforcement should focus its efforts on the activities of organized crime and criminal networks, the diversion of cannabis from sites registered for personal and designated production, the proliferation of retail stores on First Nations reserves operating without provincial territory, a community authorization, and illicit online sellers. There's a role for regulatory authorities to play in combating the illicit market. So they're recommending that they go after the stores on the reserves.
Anybody in the gray.
Yeah. Now they say from diversion from personal and designated production. Do you think there's any diversion from the legal producers?
Yeah.
Which isn't mentioned? I just thought I'd ask that.
Yeah. Well, some of us know that there is. And a personal production, I couldn't grow enough to keep myself. There was no diversion. And designated growers, depends on how many patients they got. I bet you that's exactly why they want to take it down to one.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's one at a location. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Provincial and territory governments should consider creating authorities to compel internet service providers to block illicit cannabis websites.
What?
And compel financial service operators to provide financial information that helps to identify the online operators.
What?
Yeah, that's what it says. Yeah, they want the internet people to be able to shut down a website, and the banks to provide financial information.
That ain't gonna
help them. Yeah. I would think banking stuff might have been already accessible, being that I always thought that they already had that information that at that end of stuff. But the internet end of things, it's more of having to go to court, I believe, right now, versus just allowing them to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, they can't just go into your stuff.
Yeah.
I believe they have to get it warned.
Parliamentarians should consider how the proposed Online Harms Act could be used to protect children and youth from harms associated with exposure to substances, including cannabis. Okay. And the law enforcement should prioritize enforcement of cannabis-impaired driving, supported by appropriate resources and additional training of officers, particularly for rural and remote police services. I'm in a rural area, but I don't think our police force is a rural thing, being it's coming out of Peterborough. So, but
it's not like if you're driving down the road impaired, smashing into things, having accidents.
Correct. And usually, I would think a majority, and I could be wrong, but majority are usually, when it comes to getting caught, is usually related to a smell, being the odor in the vehicle.
That's usually always.
Maybe not use that as the reason why that they start asking pertinent questions, such as the red eyes. When I got busted 25 years ago, there was that was the thing. They said that oh, your eyes are red, what have you been doing? Let's see your cigarette package, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
today it would be, I'm fucking tired. Leave me alone.
Let's see. Observations on the medical end of things. Good. I'm glad to see this, being that it's very short. Being that we're almost done. Observation 10, in the medical end of things, the regulators for healthcare professionals should use their authorities to investigate and sanction health officials with problematic authorization practices. What do you think those are? What are those problematic authorization practices?
Well, all the clinics that are charging money.
Yeah, and I think probably
these that are kicking back to these licensed, these nurse practitioners that are signing the paperwork for their ability to that's a double-edged sword. That's why I'm just kind of like, we already knew that doctors weren't supposed to charge for a prescription on any level. Yet we're still taking the patients to the doctors that are charging money for their prescription because
And
you don't have
Health,
an option,
Health Canada says this is only a recommendation. This is not a prescription that the patients receive.
right?
Because as a prescription, it would be recognizing it as medicine, would it not?
Well, and that's the thing. You're signing the doctor's signing their piece of paper saying yes, they recognize that this person that is applying for the exemption uses it for medicine, right? So
Right.
basically, the doctor signing your passport.
Yeah.
You get so many people that can sign your passport. So it's
This is your
basically
cannabis passport.
yeah. Here's
Yeah.
your picture. We don't even need pictures anymore. At one time, you had to get your picture taken. When I first got my first license, I had to send them 2 passport pictures with my doctor's signature on the back of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember those days.
Was saying that I was who I was, that went with the
Yeah.
paperwork that he had signed, and that was my doctor and Hannah. Because the first year, cameraman signed it, and then the second year, when I needed my renewal, my doctor and Hannah actually signed my paperwork for me. And
Right.
I still had to go get 2 brand new pictures taken, but I never got a card. It was like, why am I sending my picture to you? Isn't it supposed to be on this card? And we never got cards, right? And they said, oh, the
Yeah.
lamination machine's broken. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I got that notification as well that the machine was broken.
it
But I
was.
have those. I still have those early cards with our photos on them.
I never got one. I never ever got one.
Oh,
They
damn.
just
Oh, I got a few of them.
no, my first authorization was just my pink slip and told me
Pink
that my
slip, yeah.
lamination, my card would be on the way
Put
once
this,
I was after the lamination machine broke.
put this 11 by 17 legal size document, fold it up, and put it in your wallet.
You're not
Yeah.
supposed to, and it told you not to fold it.
No, and no photocopy. Exactly. Like
I had
ridiculous.
no photocopy. I had to have the original document, right?
Yeah.
Times that thing was unfolded and folded, it was fucking your falling apart, right? Like,
Yeah. Okay. Oh. Okay. So we did that, and number 11 which is on the medical side. Provincial and territory regulatory authorities should require healthcare professionals, including physicians, nurse practitioners, and if applicable, pharmacists, to disclose financial relationships with license holders. This work could build on existing policies governing the health professionals' relationships with the pharmaceutical industry. I wonder, is that something that goes towards what you had mentioned earlier about the connections of these signing clinics to LPs?
well, yeah, now the pharmaceutical companies want, paperwork basically saying, so how much money you been making off this, right?
Mhm.
So, see how much money. Like it's like I said, it's all about money. We've known that right from the get go, right? There's never
Right.
been any non-indication that it was a commodity. It's been a commodity since the beginning of time. Here we are though, with using it as a pawn for patients' lives in some
Yeah.
aspects, especially when it comes to some of the kids, right? Like even with
Right.
Haley's consuming it in a different way. She's still smoking and vaping a little bit, but only for like not needed so much because of the levels of the acidity that helps her more with her epileptic seizures, right?
Right. Right.
Again,
Okay.
it's different. Everybody's individual, right?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so some people might be wondering, where did this panel get these observations or recommendations in order to create this review? So I've brought that up here. I'm going to bring it up on the screen. And they say that this is who they engaged with in order to create this document. Researchers and academics in various fields, including public health, public safety, criminal justice, and economics, healthcare professionals, organizations, and regulatory authorities, people working in the areas of public health and harm reduction. I'm glad to see the harm reduction end there. I'm hoping it was on a pro end of things versus a negative. Youth and youth advocates, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis, including leaders, governments, community organizations, representatives from national indigenous organizations, police and health services, industry members, and elders. Cannabis industry, includes federal license holders, distributors, regulators, retailers, and industry associations. Equity deserving groups, people with diverse lived and living experience, international policy leaders, various levels of government, law enforcement, representatives, as well as stakeholders involved in the use of cannabis for medical purposes, including patients and their caregivers, patient advocacy groups, researchers, healthcare professionals, cannabis clinics, and those operating outside of the medical access system. So those are the people that they spoke with during this whole process. I'm sure there's somebody out there that was missed, or some people that would be saying, well, I didn't get the opportunity to, why didn't they ask me? But as you mentioned earlier, there was patients who did submit on this, and it would be great to see those numbers to have been increased. I don't know if there's ever, I think at one point they had talked about doing another review down the road, or that was a recommendation to do another review. So hopefully at that point, even more people would get involved. Pros and cons, everybody's got a voice on either side.
And again, we got, supposedly had like 45,000 licensed patients at one point in time. Our numbers are dropping. And I'm hopeful that not everybody's like dropped off because they're no longer with us, but that could be a possibility as well. But I think since legalization, I think like myself, I don't hold a license at this point in time. I don't have anything growing, and I can possess more than my license, so I just don't bother. And how many people are there? How many people are just like me?
I wouldn't doubt if there are many people that haven't bothered because of being able to go to the store, or because they can grow 4 plants. Some people with 4 plants that they put out there can get a few pounds, and that is enough for them to get throughout the year. And they would just look at it, well, why deal with going to the doctor and maybe having to deal with the doctor end of things who might not be so welcoming.
I did try getting my renewal. My doctor, everybody's heard this story too. Why would I prescribe you 15 grams a day when you can go to the store and get 30?
Yeah, exactly. And you're not, obviously you're not the only one. Okay. They say here's some more information I've got here. They say in total they met with 600 individuals from over 250 organizations in nearly 140 meetings, collected 10 sector-based roundtable meetings, which included public health, justice, public safety, industry, 3 meetings with patients and advocates, 2 meetings with youth and young adult advocates, multi-sectional roundtables on public health and industry issues, multi-sectoral roundtable on medical access. Completed 5 roundtables focused on issues related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's women in the industry, issues specific to Black Canadians, social equity issues, harm reduction measures, learning from other jurisdictions. I like to have seen them say issues are specific to the BIPOC community, which is everybody on that end, basically.
Right.
Minorities. Undertook distinctions-based engagement activities with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. This included meetings with the British Columbia-based First Nations, organized in partnership with the First Nations Leadership Council, representative of the 4 Inuit regions, organized in partnership with Inuit Taporet, Katamata, and Pawtucket, Inuit Women of Canada, the Manitoba Métis Federation, the Métis National Council, the Assembly of First Nations, the Anawashebek Nation, the Mohawk Council of Akawasan. I know I'm mispronouncing some of these names. I'm sorry for that, but the Mohawk Council of Kanawak, Samson Cree Nation, Shiwachi Village, Six Nations of the Grand River, Taiganaga. That's the Mohawks of the first of the Bay of Quinte. They are just down the road from me here, and been there quite a bit. Williams Lake First Nation. Actually, I'm going to be there next week. See, they visited sites of license holders involved in cultivation and processing, retail stores, harm reduction sites, and cannabis clinics, engaged with stakeholders operating outside of federal, provincial, and territorial licensing frameworks. Who would that be? That wouldn't be the
Ted met with him.
pardon me?
Ted met with him.
Yeah.
I remember he talked about that when we had him on the show, that they had come down to the lounge and stuff.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Students from the first from Students Commission heard from the Students Commission of Canada, which had roundtables with youth on our behalf, and they received over 250 written submissions. So there you go. That's the stuff that they talked, stuff they got or did.
The numbers are just so low. People just in this country just aren't engaged.
Yeah.
We've got a population of 3 million people. You know what I mean? Or
36 or 39 million, somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere there. Sorry, I thought it was 36 million. I think it was. I was thinking of this out of the one state.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Nobody's engaging in anything except.
Yeah. I agree. The numbers were lower than I would have expected for something that was so important.
Really important.
Yeah.
But again, people are we're going. Legalization was before COVID, and the same people that we fought side by side for cannabis regulation and legalization, kind of, we've changed. Things, dynamics have changed, right?
Oh yeah, some have passed on.
Yeah.
Some have made the jump to the legal market. Some are staying in legacy. Some just got out of it altogether.
Right. So the dynamics on all levels since legalization for our community has changed. Why it's important for you to be going out and doing another global marijuana march, and why it's important that people should be still continuing to stand up for our rights, because this is something that, like I said, the injunction for our grow licenses could easily go.
And that didn't evaporate with the ACMPR.
Nope.
All righty, where are we here? Oh, we're at the bottom of the hour. We're at the end of the show.
We made it.
Hey, I overall, the stuff that we reviewed, I think there were some positives in there.
Oh, absolutely. I think this one's really good points to both last week and this week as well.
Correct. Yeah. For those who are watching tonight's broadcast, last week, who knows? Maybe I'll put them together and create one broadcast just on the review, and I'll just release it separately.
Right. Again, like that's something that we need to continue. Just keep our eyes open and because things can change. They have committees going on right now in Ottawa, behind closed doors, talking and discussing bills that they're planning on passing as we speak.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah. You gotta get, people gotta speak up now. And, there's several ways that you can speak up, by, writing your MP, writing your, what do you call them, MLAs,
MLA, MPP,
writing a
whatever.
letter to the editor, speaking up, getting involved in, for example, the Global Marijuana Marches, because it all comes together and makes everybody's voices louder. And there's so many. I look at it as an octopus. An octopus has eight tentacles, right? Their legs. Just think of prohibition and as the body, and we are the legs of the octopus, going at it and trying to make change.
But again, even the people that are within the legalization market and all the stores and the distribution and the growers and everything should be joining in the Global Marijuana March, because if it wasn't for the Global Marijuana Marches and all the 420s that we've done, they wouldn't have what they've got.
Well, it's all about cannabis law reform, and that would include technically law reforms when it comes to regulations for businesses.
That's right.
Here in Ontario, the covered windows on the stores.
Those are all
things that they could get involved in. As you said,
packaging.
Branding. As simple as we talked about. I mentioned earlier when we come back at the break there about doing a short video. I march for. A short video could be I march for change when it comes to Global Marijuana March. Right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. If you do a video, anybody does a video, check out the Global Marijuana March Facebook page. Post it there. Post it on your wall. Post it everywhere. And more people that show up at the marches around the world, the better everybody will be, because we don't want people being hung as is what is happening today. Right. So, hey, anything you want to say before I sign us off?
Nope.
All right. All right. We'll be back next week, and we'll go from there. Thanks to our sponsors, Legacy420.com, the Campbellford lifestyle shop in downtown Campbellford, as well as Limestone City Hydroponics.ca. Plus, big thank yous to you, everybody out there who's watching or tuning into the podcast later on a radio version of the show. Thanks again, and good night.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.